This round of the MG Trophy Championship is sponsored by Classic Fuel Solutions. The second meeting of the season gets underway at Brands Hatch here in Kent. Overall championship leader is Paul Luty, the 170 class driver, having 2 wins at Silverstone. Jason Burgess had 2 wins as well, that was in the 190s. The standard power class wins were shared by Tyler Ballard and John Booth. Down in the paddock, Barry is catching up with 2017 170 class runner-up Jack Roberts.
Jack, round 2, find ourselves at Brands Hatch here and qualified first in class.
Yeah, I can't complain. It was very, very tricky out there, very, very slippy, and we were out testing yesterday morning and it was wet, but believe it or not, it's actually more grip than it was this morning. I think just been cold with fog overnight, but no, really, really happy. First for race 1, second for race 2, can't ask for too much more.
Round 1 was a bit of a mixed one for you. Obviously race 1 were right towards the back of the pack of your group anyway, so what happened there?
Yeah, Silverstone didn't quite go to plan. Coming off the back of last year, we had a really, really good last year, second in class in the championship, which I was really pleased for. Went in Silverstone with high hopes, and it was a mixture of just struggled, a little bit of setup, damage in race 1, put us down to about 16th, I believe, and then race 2 just struggled slightly with power. So we're running different engine this weekend, which so far seems to have cured our issues.
So realistic aims for the weekend?
I'd love to say 2 wins. I mean, it's going to be hard because Paul Luty, the Scottish, the foreigners, aren't going to make it easy for us. So he's quick. Matt Turnbull, he's one who's graduated from 160s. He's obviously very quick, and there's plenty of others. Ryan Firth, he's quick, so you can't really count any of them out. It's not going to be easy for sure.
Sam, always great to see new drivers on the grid there. Now, you did have a little bit of a dabble in this championship last season, which you didn't do too bad, but I've noticed back out of Silverstone, you actually got 6th place.
Yeah, it was quite a good race weekend for us. Started 15th on the grid. There was a little bit of an accident up front, but managed to get our way through and get pushing on with the race and finish 6th. So hopefully there's good signs for this season that we can hopefully progress and maybe come in the top 5 towards the end of the year and maybe have a few podiums.
You've got quite a pedigree of motorsport, various experiences, but what encouraged you into the MG Trophy Championship?
Well, to be honest, it's good value for money to start off with, and the grids are so good and big that it makes the racing so close, and especially when you're in 170 class like I am, it's really like a good way to get into racing. But the grids are so big, it's so compact. You've got people who have raced in this championship for like 10 years, so you can there's always progression within the championship, and yeah, it's just one of these championships that I would always recommend to anyone.
Chris, round 2 of the season, how can we see here?
That's a good question. I've been pressured by everyone else, and they've been saying about making a return, and everyone's a great guy on the grid, so I thought I'd come and have a bit of a play for sure.
Now, we haven't seen you for certainly well over a year. I know you do a lot of work in the background and you sponsor some of the key drivers. Great to see you back on the grid. Are we going to see you much this season?
I'm not too sure really. I'm just going to play it by ear. Obviously sponsoring 2 of the front runners, Paul Luty and Ollie Hood. They're doing really well and doing a good job. So yeah, I'm really giving support for those guys, and yeah, I'm sure we'll maybe pay another visit maybe later on in the year.
Not all plain sailing though. We've noticed you've had a few little hurdles with the car. There's something going on there. What's been going on?
We've got an electrical gremlin, which is quite frustrating. So it was okay in testing. We're about a second up on our qualifying time in testing, which it should be the other way around, you'd hope. But yeah, we're going out today. It's come back, and we're running at half power. We get out to about 5.5 RPM, 5,500, should I say, and then it's cutting out, unfortunately.
I would say one of our drivers has been here for many seasons. Interesting, isn't it, to see how the championship has grown and the pace seems to have increased.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Pete Walters has been doing a really good job behind the scenes of the market and the PR. There's so many people following the championship, which is really good for sponsors, and it's enticing younger drivers, and yeah, there's loads of those, and it's really exciting, and I'm sure it's going to grow in the future.
Ollie, round 2 of the season. Round 1 was a fantastic one for you, in amongst the mix there. But qualifying at round 2, what's going on? Some problems with tyres?
Yeah, it hasn't been a good start at all, to be honest. We've qualified 15th out of 16th, which is not good at all. We think this is possibly down to tyres, older tyres, and also damper settings. So we're going to make quite a drastic change for race 1, and hopefully we can kind of move up the pack and try and get into the top 5. That's what we're hoping for.
I was going to say, you've got your work cut out in the Purple Bricks machine for race 1. Luckily, we've got 2 races today, so I don't know if that's good or bad. You've got quite a quick turnaround time.
We have, yeah. I'm hoping the second race will be dry because we can really make some progress. And for race 1, it's going to be a bit hit and miss, but we're going to think positive and go for it.
The mixture of tracks and that you get in this championship are amazing. So we've gone from a relatively flat Silverstone to all the cambers and twists and turns of Brands Hatch.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's caught us out with the car setup as well, because obviously we are new to the trophy. And I think that has just thrown us, not really making a change to suit the track. So I think we've got a lot of learning to do this year.
Ross Mackar on pole position with Jason Burgess alongside. Class B, third row of the grid. Pole position, Jack Roberts. Second is Paul Luty. Class C, headed by John Booth, brother of the man we're on board with at the moment. And second in Class C was Joseph Dalgano, doing well, the newcomer. Lights are on here at Brands Hatch. It's a long way, a little bit of creeping from Jason Burgess, but I think he got that all checked up in time and didn't gain an advantage by my opinion, but the judges of fact, as they're called, might have a different opinion. Burgess leads. There was a little bit of wheel spin off the line for Ross Mackar, and he's in second place, but side by side at the moment with Chris Bray. Graham Ross starts further back, inside line of Jack Roberts, the pole man in the 170s, who's lost a bit of ground. In fact, he's down in 4th place. And it's Ryan Firth who leads the class from Paul Luty. Graham Ross working his way through the front-running 170s. The orange sun strip on the windscreen denoting that he's in the 190 brake horsepower class. And we get the view of him passing Paul Luty along Cooper Straight up in towards Surtees. Ryan Firth's done well, started 4th on the grid. He's in the white fronted car with the red stripe and the blue rear quarter. And he started, say, 4th in class, runs wide, sees Ross coming through, so the more powerful car will go through on the inside line. But look at the black and yellow car, and immediately behind that, the gunmetal coloured car of 117. Jake Fraser-Burns has come through incredibly from 9th on the grid. Not 9th overall on the grid, 9th in class, up into 3rd place in class. So it's Burgess leading. The blue car of Chris Bray, who we ride on board with now, in 2nd place. A little bit of a gap back before we see Ross Mackar still there with Andy Spencer in the mix as well. Jake Fraser-Burns looks to the outside line of Paul Luty. Luty, the wily, I won't say old, the wily young fox, or just the wily fox will do, knows the line to take out of Druids down into Graham Hill Bend to fend off Jake Fraser-Burns, who's made very good progress indeed in this one so far. Oh, problems there for Samuel Johnston, the Ashford Middlesex-based driver. That's the kiss of death, isn't it, really, having the interview with Barry prior to the race. But he's rejoined, so we'll see how much progress he can make. Ollie Hood coming through. Ollie starting 15th in class, 20th on the grid. And he, at the moment, is behind David Stubbs, the yellow and black 100 car. Down behind them is Mike Harris, qualified in the top 10 in the 170s. Mike trying to close down as well. The race beginning to settle down into a bit of a pattern here on the Indy circuit at Brands Hatch, the 1.279 mile long circuit. Harris trying to close in on Hood, who wants to make progress. We've got damage on the back end of Ben Mills' car, and that's only going to get worse because he's involved with Richard Marsh, on board with Patrick Booth. Patrick, the older of the two Booth brothers. John Booth is the younger brother. He was pole position for Class C, the standard 160 brake horsepower cars, and running a little bit wide there is Ben Mills with the damage on the back. Richard Marsh goes through on the inside. Tom Butler in 55 there as well, and Patrick Booth busy chasing at the moment. Patrick in the top 10 of the second race of the day at Silverstone on the 7th of April. So the guys have had a few weeks to get their cars prepared, ready for this outing here at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit. And this is a very good top 10 battle going on in the 170s. Patrick Booth chases on that inside line. Booth, the onboard we have in the dark red car, the 4G racing car, chasing Tom Butler in 55. Downhill, out of Druids, changes up a gear. If we stay with him, watch for the change down as he comes into Graham Hill Bend. He changes down, he drops down as well because Ollie Hood goes through on the inside line. These guys, exemplary driving standards as far as the runoff is concerned. Either the clerk of the course has done a great job, or they really have had it instilled in them that track limits here at Brands Hatch can be a big penalty. Ben Mills again runs a little bit wide. Tom Butler goes through. Butler with, of course, a little bit more experience. I'm wondering if Mills is going to pick up the flag to indicate he's got damage on the back. He might not know about that. The organisers might not want that flying off. This is the battle for the lead, though, and it's Jason Burgess still out front, but being harried big time by Chris Bray. Multi-champion Chris Bray, great to see him racing once again. Looks like he's got perhaps a little bit more pace than Jason Burgess at the moment. Bray was alluding to a limited campaign, so Burgess, as long as he beats the rest of the field, maybe won't be too concerned about Bray, but having said that, he's a racer, he'll want the overall win. Out of clearways, into Clark Curve, super view from the race leader. Burgess still there, Bray piling the pressure on, not getting that close. It looks like Burgess had a better run. Out of Clark Curve, we'll see how this transpires down into Paddock Hill Bend. Bray, I think, getting closer now, has a look down the inside line. Burgess comes across, as it's his right to do. He's not going to weave. Is there going to be a gap on the inside? Bray flicks back to the outside line as they come up in towards Druids. He's going to try and get closer, maybe get a run and off. That's the 160 class pole position man. John Booth is in the gravel, but rejoins. Jason Burgess still in the lead of this race, but here comes Chris Bray, looks down the inside line, he's putting pressure on. Now, was it the pressure that contributed to that moment for Burgess, who runs wide? They nearly clatter as Burgess comes back on track, but there was space between them, and now the space is between Chris Bray, the new race leader, Jason Burgess in second, who can give chase. Now, look at the inset shot, top of screen. The rear-facing camera shows nobody nearby, and that's significant for Burgess. It means that he can work on his racing line, he can put the pressure on the new leader, Bray, and try and go past. He hasn't got to worry about who's behind him. He just needs to focus on the racing line, the conditions and everything else that is going on here at Brands Hatch. Comes down into Paddock, the back end's coming round again. Burgess half spins and winds up in the gravel. Game over for the 16 car. There's Chris Bray, the race leader. In the background you saw coming through Andy Spencer, Ross Mackar and also Graham Ross. Here they are at Druids. They have now got second, third and fourth position overall. Ross with a chance of a podium now. Remember, the third of these cars started ninth on the grid. If you'd have said to him a chance of a podium earlier on, he might have dismissed that, but he's definitely in with a shout of one now. In the background, Burgess trying to recover. So a good three-way. It's not really a battle between these three yet, but it may well shape up to be so. Look at the wide line there by Ross Mackar. Ollie Hood putting pressure on Ben Mills, who seems to have lost that errant piece of bodywork now. And is he about to lose a place too? Side by side, along Cooper Straight, textbook from the Southampton youngster. The purple bricks car of Ollie Hood goes through, makes up a position over Ben Mills. This is good progress from Ollie Hood here. He's busy chasing Tom Butler now as well. Big sideways moment for Patrick Booth. I don't think there was contact. From some angles it might look as if there was, but there's no damage on the car. Through on the inside line of Patrick Booth goes David Stubbs in the 100 car. We've got James Blake trying to tee up a run, maybe down the inside, too far back to do that. So David Stubbs gains a position. We've got waved yellows and a red flag. Red flag caused by this incident. Andy Firth has a spin, bottom of Paddock Hill Bend. That's a high speed impact into the barrier. Hope Andy is okay. Obviously marshals and medics on scene, checking him out and getting the car recovered. Restart required. I can tell you that Andy Firth is okay. He's been whisked off to the medical centre just to check him over. But the basic news is that he was out and okay, but as I say, precautionary check. David Heasman in the 21 car, lined up 5th in the 160s. You can see immediately ahead of him John Booth. Now it is Chris Bray who is on pole position. Jason Burgess gets second place back because they declare the result, as it were, the first part. Graham Ross making a super start down on the inside of Andy Spencer and up into third place. Graham Ross here, I said that he was in with a shout of a podium as Paul Luthi gets it all crossed up ahead of Jake Fraser-Burns. Bobby Monk still on the back of his seat there as they go up into Druids, the hairpin. Jack Roberts on the inside line. Ollie Hood, there's a few drivers that have benefited from the restart here, and we'll come to that in a minute, and one of those is probably Ollie Hood, who looks down the inside of original pole man Jack Roberts. So Roberts was on pole for Class B and Ollie Hood started 15th in class. So he clearly has benefited from the restart, as perhaps he would have done a safety car. But we're looking at the front runners in the 190s, the front runners overall. In fact, Chris Bray from Jason Burgess, and then third position Graham Ross. An issue there for Tyler Ballard, class winner at Silverstone round number 1 of the season, recovers and gets it all back on track, but going to have to work hard if he wants to get onto the podium. He'll maybe want a safety car. Certainly won't want another restart because we don't want any more damage in the race. But it's Chris Bray who is the leader. Here is Ollie Hood having a look to see if he can make another pass, and it's the inside line of Matt Turnbull, the man moving up from the 160s this year and had 2 impressive podia at Silverstone, and he goes wide. This is about the run down Graham Hill Bend now. Turnbull's got the inside line but cedes the position, I think, to Ollie. The Purple Bricks car running well, makes up a position. Jack Roberts is there as well. Fine class battle going on in the 170s as ever, the best subscribed class, of course. Richard Marsh gives chase to Jack Roberts, and a big moment there. That was Ben Mills getting it sideways. Going past him is David Stubbs. Stubbs goes past, and we've got Mike Harris in that group as well in the white 37 car. Into Paddock Hill Bend. It looks like the track is drying as the race goes on, which is probably good news and hopefully won't catch out anybody else. But there's Hood, Turnbull, Roberts, then Richard Marsh exploring the outside line. He's going to try and look on the inside as they go into Graham Hill Bend, but not really far enough up. As we get, this is the battle for the leaders in Class C. Big sideways moment again for John Booth. Booth up ahead of Christopher Bolton, who's running in the 170s. I think that leaves John Gill in the lead of the 160 class, and Patrick Booth trying to recover. Mike Harris in front of him. Booth in the 4G, the red racing car, on the outside line here of James Blake in green. Those two are side by side. Booth's got the better run, slots in. What can he do about Mike Harris? These two dicing for the top 10 to get into the top 10 of the 170 class, and Booth makes the move, goes past, so good move from him. Back with the overall race leader though, Chris Bray not looking troubled at the moment, fastest lap. Then Jason Burgess in second place, Graham Ross is in third. Gap developing back to Andy Spencer in fourth. Ross Mackar is next, then Jason Burgess, we go on board with him. Second position, trying to close down on Chris Bray. And with the red flags coming out, the starting positions for the restart went back of that when Jason was still in second place, so he did benefit from the restart slightly as well. Down the inside goes James Blake, side by side with Mike Harris, 12th and 13th in class. Blake looking at the inside run. Somerset-based driver has a look, but nothing quite doing. The West Midlander in white and red holds on to position. Patrick Booth still ahead of them. It'll flash through David Stubbs in yellow. He's running 9th in class at the moment, but a good battle between these two. See whether James can make further progress. Samuel Johnston in behind them as well. So Johnston, remember, had that moment in the first part of the race, around about here, and not that far away from top 10 in the 170 class as we watch the lead trio. The 190s headed by Chris Bray in blue, out of shot. Graham Ross is third, looking ahead to Jason Burgess. Up Hailwood's Hill, is he going to look at the inside line? Burgess with his lights ablaze just cuts across, goes to the inside line to defend from Graham Ross. Still got Andy Spencer and Ross Mackar next, so the 190 class altogether. This is Paul Luty. Got ahead now of Ryan Firth. So Ryan, who works for Rolls-Royce, as does his dad Andy, so it's the father, son and the Silver Ghost, I guess you could say, so they both work for Rolls-Royce. On board with Ollie Hood once again, and Hood busy chasing, and we've got a red flag. So Hood in fact has made it up into a podium position, but we've got red flags again here. That will be a red and a checker because we're very late in the oh my goodness me, Tyler Ballard, I hate seeing that sort of thing. Let's hope Tyler is okay. No glass in the car. Chris Bray, therefore the winner from Jason Burgess and Graham Ross. Andy Spencer and Ross Mackar. Paul Luty wins Class B from Ryan Firth and Ollie Hood. Jake Fraser-Burns is next from Matthew Turnbull. 11th goes to Richard Marsh, then Jack Robertson, Tom Butler, David Stubbs in 14th, then Ben Mills, Patrick Booth, Mike Harris, James Blake, Samuel Johnston and John Gill in 20th, winning the standard class. Christopher Bolton next, David Heisman second in Class C from John Booth and Joseph Dalgarno. Tyler Ballard got the fastest lap in Class C, so some commiseration for him as they head down to talk to Barry.
Chris, great start for your racing season there, but a busy race.
Yeah, it couldn't have gone better for us really, but yeah, it was so busy. There was loads of overtaking, and it was really close racing. There was a few loose touches, but there wasn't any damage, so it was brilliant, really close, nice racing.
Now, it's not easy for you out there in any of the classes, but quite a masterclass watching those first few laps of you moving up one by one towards the front with Jason there.
Yeah, I was trying hard. It was really sketchy. I was not sure if it was going to work out a few times, to be honest. But yeah, maybe I was lucky. But yeah, it was an interesting first couple of laps for sure.
Jason was keeping us at pace with you there, but obviously a little bit of mistake on his side there, give you a little bit of advantage.
Yeah, definitely. I was trying to put him under pressure, flashing the lights and trying all the tricks that I could use. And yeah, he did go a little bit wide and yeah, outbrake himself for sure. And it gave us the legs then.
Jason, second event of the season. First event was great. We got 2 first places. Second event, a little bit tricky conditions out there. What happened on that first time out?
Well, I got an excellent start. I was really pleased. I went from second on the grid up to first. Was having a good drive. And then I'd got Chris Bray, who eventually won the race, actually, and right on me for the whole of the race. And he managed to squeeze past me. I had to defend because he would have thrown the dummy up the inside. And he got me coming out of Druids. And then I was right on his bumper, and I was literally touching him going into Paddock Hill Bend. And probably just left my braking a bit because I couldn't actually sight the corner. And got sideways, scrubbed most of the speed off, just went into the gravel a little bit, drove straight out again, and then could see the leader, so I wasn't far off him because I had actually pulled a bit of a lead, Chris and I had. And then the red flag came out because someone else had an incident, and thankfully for me they go back a lap, which meant I restarted the race and P2. And eventually finished P2 after a good scrap with Chris. And
Pretty good start that second time, I thought, as well.
It was a very good start, yeah, I was well pleased. And tried Chris around the outside on Paddock Hill Bend, round the outside on Druids at the top, and round the outside on Graham Hill. So it was close, but no contact, but yeah, good fun.
Paul, fantastic race, almost 2 races in one there, very, very busy, and that first red flag, you were actually in second, so I bet you were relieved you went back out again.
Yeah, well, it's never nice to have a red flag because someone's either, had a bad one or whatever, but I was relieved in a way because it gave me a second chance.
I think we had about sort of 7 or 8 minutes on the clock, so you had to go out there really anyway to sort of complete the thing. But tricky conditions for all.
Yeah, it was so crazy. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of good that all the 170 drivers decided to use the dry tyres. So if we all made a mistake, then fine, we all made a mistake. But we really should have been on wets for that start. However, in part 2, it was actually the dry you wanted, and luckily we were not allowed to change onto the wet, so we all stayed in the dry, and it worked a treat.
The good news is that Andy Firth and Tyler Ballard are okay. Thanks to the marshals and medics here at Brands Hatch. We'll see you next time for race 2 from this meeting.